Hey there, tech fans. Rick here again with another gadget I think you're going to find pretty helpful. It's an HDMI extender from a company called OREI. Now, if you're watching this clip, you probably already know what a gadget like this can do for you, but in case you're not sure, what this kit will do is allow you to extend the distance between your monitor and your media device up to 165 feet. Now, where this comes in really handy is most of us have all of our gear located in a den or a family room, and maybe we want to use that TiVo or that cable box or that game console up in a bedroom on the second floor, maybe down the hallway. The challenge is if you try to extend that HDMI cable over, say, 50 feet, you're going to have all kinds of problems because the HDMI standard really only provides for a cable length of about 50 feet. And honestly, most of the devices today, if you go over 20 feet, you're going to get all kinds of sync issues and image quality problems. So you really need a device like this to allow you to connect those two up over long distances. Now, in the spirit of full disclosure, the company did send me this product for review, but they only did that after I sent them a bunch of emails and said, hey, I'm testing a bunch of these devices for my own home. Would you mind sending me one? I'd like to run it through its paces. Now, I've tested about 6 of these devices. 4 of them I had a lot of problems with. They were really less expensive, and I found that the minute I connected them up, I had all kinds of blanking issues on the video, and the audio was out of sync. I just had a lot of headaches with them. This one works really, really well. Now, the way I'm going to do this clip is I'll do an unboxing of it first and show you exactly what comes with the kit. I'll explain a little bit of what the parts do. Then I'm going to take you outside. I'll show you a field test of exactly how I tested this thing with a long cable. I've got a 100-foot cable between the two, which is a standard LAN cable, a Cat 5 that I was using. And you can see that the picture quality is astounding. I've got perfect sync issues and a bunch of other cool things going on. And then I'll show you how to connect it up. I'll give you kind of a diagram of how it's connected up very easily. Then I'll come back with some conclusions and give you an idea of exactly what I thought of the product and really what separates this guy from the rest of the ones on the market. So let's start with the unboxing. Let me open this guy up. So the first thing you'll notice is that both of the units, the transmitter and the receiver, are both protected in a really nice little plastic case there. All right, so I'll pull that out a second. Now again, there's 2 devices. One's a transmitter and one's a receiver. The transmitter ends up at the media end. So wherever you're going to start, whether that be a DVD player or the TiVo or whatever happens to be, this one ends up on that end. This one ends up where the monitor is. So that's the receiver, that's the transmitter. There's an instruction book that explains everything, and I'm going to go through it pretty basically, but that instruction book is really good to give you the full picture of what's going on with the device. You have 2 power supplies, one for the transmitter and one for the receiver. And then you've got 2 IR extenders, and I'll explain those in a minute. Those are really important, and a lot of the kits didn't come with those, which makes no sense to me because if I'm watching TV up in a bedroom and I want to change the channel or fast forward to TiVo, I have to have some way for that remote control way up in that bedroom to communicate with the TiVo down in the den. These IR extenders allow you to do that. So in essence, everything you need is in the kit. Now, some of the things I noticed right out of the gate with this kit compared to some of the others, the first thing I noticed was, number one, the cases are metal, which is really important because they're high durability, they're easy to mount. So if you want to mount it on a wall behind your big gear that you have down there in the den, you can put a screw in it and put it right up on the wall. But the metal case also cuts down on the RFI and stray radiation because these are transmitters. This is a transmitter and receiver, and it's going to create you're going to create a lot of interference. If these are plastic cases, that could broadcast out and cause all kinds of interference on your TV. So I like the fact that they're metal cases. The power supplies are nice too. They're 5-volt power supplies, custom made for these guys. You've got a couple of other features on here. For example, and I don't know if you can see this, I'll do a blow up of it. But in this one, you've got a diagram on the bottom that talks about these dip switches on the side over here. It's important to understand how far you're going to extend this. Now, it'll extend up to 165 feet. I went about 100 feet with my test, but these dip switches on the side over here allow you to decide how strong the signal is going to be from this unit. So you make adjustments based on the distance you're going to extend that out. And again, that's all explained in the manual. These are the IR receiver and transmitter that you're going to use. And what happens here is basically one gets plugged in at the transmitter side, one gets plugged in at the receiver side. And in addition to transferring the video signal over that Cat 5 cable that you're connecting between the two, it'll also transmit the IR signals from your remote control so that you can control the device that you're actually watching up in the bedroom. Now, the way I implemented this is in my den, I've got a TiVo and I've got a media player down there that I use both of those up in the bedroom. So what I've got is a little HDMI switch down there that switches between those 2 devices into this transmitter transmitter, which then takes it up to the bedroom. And the nice thing is, because I've got the IR extender down there, I can control both of those devices with the same cable. So it worked out really well for me. So stay tuned. I'm going to take you outside now and actually show you how this device worked. Now, I couldn't simulate it in the house because if I connected it up in the house, you wouldn't really trust me that I've got this long extension cable. So I thought, let me take it out in the backyard and I'll leave the TiVo in my den. I'll extend the cable out through the window and go out to my patio 100 feet away, set up a TV out there in the freezing cold of winter to show you exactly how this thing works. So stay tuned and I'll show you that now. I'm outside on my patio for a quick field test of the HDMI extender. Now, to set up the test, what I've done is brought the receiver with me out to my patio, and it's freezing cold out here. Normally I would have this in a bedroom someplace or downstairs in a rec room, but wherever your second location is, you've got to have the receiver set up. And all you have to do to get this thing working is connect up an HDMI cable to the TV you want to watch. You can connect up a Cat 5 or Cat 6. If it's a short distance like this, Cat 5 cable is fine, but if you're going much longer, you'll want to go with a Cat 6. And you've got a power connection, and that's all you really need. So the only physical connection I've got between me and the house is this Cat 5 cable. It's a 100-foot cable, just to show you how clear the picture actually is at the receiver end of it. Now in the house, I've got the transmitter that's connected up to the TiVo, and we're all ready to go. If you're doing this in your house, though, you want to be aware of the fact that if you're watching TV, you don't want to have to scream down to somebody downstairs to change the channel or to fast forward or whatever, so you'll need to use a remote. They've actually been smart enough to build in an IR receiver here as well. So in essence, what's going to happen is you use your remote here, you'll point it at that, you can put this on the TV you're watching, it'll actually take the IR signals from this, combine those with the video, send it back upstream, and then at the other end there's a small little transmitter, IR transmitter, that dangles in front of the device that you want to control, and it'll relay the remote control to the inside house. So I'll show you how that works. You can see if I point this at this now, I can tune through my TiVo. I can look all, to my different shows that are on or whatever. I'll actually show you a little bit here. I don't want to put too much on because I'll get in trouble with copyright. But let's take a look at Curse of Oak Island. It's one of my favorite shows. Let's get on that, and I'll show you how well it plays. So if I hit play, it'll start up just like you're watching it in the house. And again, I can fast forward. I can go back if I want. I have complete control, and there's no lag whatsoever, which is really amazing. A lot of these devices that I've tested have a tremendous amount of lag. Either the video and audio are off, or if I hit the remote, it takes a second or two to respond. This is almost instantaneous. And again, it's at a pretty good distance. It's 100 feet into the house. So very, very impressed with the way this thing works. I think if you've got a situation where you have to have a TV in a different room that you want to use, a cable box or a game console or maybe a TiVo in that room, this is a perfect solution for those environments. In this section, I'll provide a brief overview of the connections you'll need to make to get this system working in your own home. We'll start at the primary location, which is typically your den or your rec room where your gear resides today. Identify the device that you want to extend to that upstairs bedroom, follow the HDMI cable from the back of that device to your TV, disconnect it from the back of your TV, and plug it into the HDMI in connection on the transmitter. You'll need another short HDMI cable, and you'll connect that between the HDMI out on the transmitter and the back of the TV. You're essentially putting the transmitter in series with that HDMI cable. Next, you'll connect up the 5-volt power supply and attach that to the transmitter. And then there are two IR cables that come with the system. One of them's got a smaller dongle on it. That's the one you want to connect up to the IR out on the transmitter. Now remember, you'll need that to be in front of the device you want to connect, and they give you a little piece of double-sided tape where you can actually stick it to the device. Now we'll head upstairs to the remote location in the bedroom, and we've got the receiver. You'll connect a short HDMI cable from the HDMI out, from that to the TV. You'll power up the 5-volt power supply and connect that to the module. You'll use that second IR cable, connect it up to the IR in, and again, you've got double-sided tape where you can stick that to the front of the TV so that you can see it with the remote. And then the last connection you'll have to make is the Cat 5 cable between the two locations. And again, you can use a Cat 5 cable or Cat 6. They both work really well. Make that connection and you should be ready to go. The only adjustments you'll have to worry about are on the receiver end. You've got a signal strength that you can adjust. It's called EQ, and if you flip it over, you can see 4 different sections in there depending on how long the cable is. So if you're using say a 100-foot cable, you're going to want to make the adjustments for that, and that's something you'll have to play with to make sure that it works fine for you. I basically set it up the way it was shown on the bottom there, and it worked great for me. The only other setting you've got is on the transmitter side. There's a setting called EDID. What that stands for is Extended Display Identification Data. It's a standard that HDMI has that you have to be aware of. If it doesn't work, my rule of thumb is if it doesn't work when you first connect it up, flip that switch and that should fix it for you. It's hard to say which of the two settings are better, but you can play with it. It's a very easy thing to change to make sure that it works. And that's pretty much all you need to do. And at this point, you should be watching whatever media device is downstairs in your den on the TV upstairs in your bedroom. In this last section, I'd like to do a quick wrap-up of the HDMI extender from OREI and point out a couple of key features that really separate it from the competition. Now, there are a lot of companies that make HDMI extension technologies, and on the surface, they may all look very similar, but there's a couple of really important things you need to look for when you're comparing one company against another to make sure you get the exact right product for your need and your budget. Let's start off with the distance. A lot of companies out there will talk about their extension technologies allowing you to go 75 or 100 feet. This one goes a full 165 feet, and you may be thinking to yourself, well, I don't have to go that far. Why would I get one that would extend at 165 feet? What you have to remember is, if you've got a device that'll only extend at 75 feet or 100 feet, and you get to the edge of that, you're going to have issues with pixelization, you're going to have trouble with syncing on video and audio. Having the ability to go 165 feet, even if you're going a shorter distance, means that you're going to have plenty of signal strength and not have to worry about any of those issues. The next thing that's really important is a lot of the competition require you to have a Cat5 connection. This one you can use a Cat5 or a Cat6, which gives you the flexibility to use whatever cabling you happen to have around. And Cat6 cabling can be a little bit more expensive, especially if you're in a house that's been pre-wired with Cat5 cabling. So knowing I can use Cat5 or Cat6 is really a nice little flexible feature that's built into the product. The unit is plug and play, which means you don't have to do anything at all to the systems you've got at home. You basically connect it up like I've described, turn it on, and the thing works. Some of the other systems out there only work with certain models of products or versions of firmware, so it gets to be a real nightmare, and you won't figure that out till you get it home and rip open the box and then get frustrated trying to install the thing. I made a big deal out of the metal cabinets, and that's really important. So when you're looking at a device like this, a lot of the companies use plastic cabinets, and what you'll find is when you power this thing up, because it's a transmitter, you bring it near a TV or near a radio or some other device, and that stray RFI from that device that's broadcasting through the plastic will cause all kinds of interference, and you'll get kind of sketchy pictures. With this one having a metal cabinet, it reduces the RFI, that stray radiation, and won't cause interference in anything else that happens to be in the surrounding area. It also makes a really durable case that's easy to mount to a wall with a couple of screws. So it's really a high quality product that they've thought through, and that costs them a little extra to do that, but I think it really is a benefit if you're going to use it in your home. It does a full 1080p streaming. A lot of the other devices will say up to 1080p, which is kind of marketing where you think about that, where if it's a short distance, it'll do 1080p. But if you extend that distance, it may drop back down to 720 because you can't actually push that much video content through that connections they've built because they're not strong enough. This one will support a full 1080 viewing at that 165 foot distance, which is important to me because you get spoiled. I mean, most of us have moved to 4K at this point, so to drop from 1080p down to 720p, it's almost like watching an old VHS tape. And a couple of the systems I tested worked fine at 50 feet. When I got to the 100-foot mark, they dropped back down to 720p and couldn't support 1080p. So full 1080p at 165 feet, which is absolutely amazing. The other thing that I like is they include the IR extender. Some of the other kits, that was an upgrade, or they didn't include it at all. And I'm thinking to myself, what do I do? Do I start the video down in the rec room and then run upstairs and watch it? And then, if I want to stop it or fast forward or something, I run back downstairs and do that. Having the IR extender in it means that it's just like I'm in front of that device when I'm upstairs in that bedroom. I can use my remote, I can fast forward and rewind, I can stop it, I can change channels. Everything I want to do, I can do from that upstairs bedroom. So that's a really nice little touch. The power supplies are something else you won't find with a lot of other units. And you're thinking, well, how can you power these? A lot of the other companies that are less expensive will include a short cable that connects up to the USB connection on your TV and then drives this with 5 volts from the TV. The problem there is, even though technically that'll work, a lot of those TVs don't output enough current to actually provide a stable voltage and current for this device. You're going to have, again, spotty connections. You're going to have issues with it working maybe intermittently, depending on what's going on with that TV and what else is plugged into that outlet. So I love the fact that we have dedicated 5-volt power supplies that take care of that, and I have no issues whatsoever with these guys blinking out because there's not enough power to power them up. The last thing I'll mention is the EDID switch, which is over here. And that EDID, which is that extended display identification data, a lot of them don't have that. Most of them don't have that. And what you'll find is that the other systems, the less expensive ones, may work with certain devices, but won't work with all those devices, because having that switch allows you to make the adjustments necessary to make sure whatever device you're using can be extended over that distance. So having that EDID switch is a really nice feature. One other thing I did point out before, but I'll say it again, is the signal strength. The ability to adjust that signal strength is really important, because you don't want to have too much signal strength if it's a short distance, and you want to have the ability to sort of amp that up if you have to for longer distances. So I really think they've thought of everything with this system. And again, from an engineer's perspective, I think about, when I look at a product like this, what have I done differently if I'd have built that product? They pretty much did everything, and I've been using it for the last 2 weeks, and this thing is flawless. It just works. There's no hassles. I hook it up, I go upstairs, and I just enjoy whatever content I want to watch. So if you're in the market for an HDMI extender, this OREI product, the model number is EX165C. The 165 obviously is for the 165 foot distance that it extends it. It's a fantastic product. It's reasonably priced, and it just works, which is something I really care about. So hopefully you found this review helpful. If you have any questions at all, drop them in the comments below. I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. I love doing these kind of clips, so hopefully you guys are finding value in them and you come back for more down the road, because we're gonna have a lot more content posting. So thanks again for watching today, and we'll see you soon.